If you've ever experienced high levels of anxiety to the point where you've started to get distressing physical sensations, you've probably had this thought: this can't just be anxiety, it feels far too physical. The fast breathing, the tightness in the chest, the heart pounding, the throat closing. Surely anxiety alone can't do all this. Well, what if the physical sensations that have you thinking this can't just be an anxiety issue are in fact the biggest indicator that it is? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim Box, mind coach and anxiety therapist. One of the things I hear more than almost anything else is this: I know people keep telling me this is just anxiety, but it feels too physical for that. There must be something medically wrong with me. And after 15 years of working with clients, I completely understand why people say that. If all anxiety ever did was flag up stuff to worry about, then very few of us would end up believing something was seriously wrong. We certainly wouldn't end up in the doctor's office asking for tests to be carried out. The problem is that what most people call anxiety is actually fear. And whilst anxiety might seem more theoretical, fear is always physical. Think back to the last time somebody made you jump. Perhaps they leapt out of nowhere and surprised you, or maybe they suddenly screamed at you without warning. Your body reacted, right? You didn't choose to make your heart race. You didn't consciously decide to tense every muscle in your body. You didn't deliberately take a sharp breath. Your body just did it. Not because anything was wrong with you, but because your mind had briefly assumed you were in danger. The physical response wasn't the issue. It was a natural reaction to perceived threat. The stress response, aka fight or flight, is simply a solution your body has evolved to apply to the perception of imminent threat over thousands of years. But what role does fear actually play in those physical symptoms we've been worried about? When we've suffered with an anxiety issue for a while, we start to conflate anxiety and fear. Many people will often describe anxiety as a different kind of fear about future events rather than current events. But in truth, fear is fear. Anxiety flags up the important thing, and if that thing is perceived to be a threat, then fear joins the party. And whilst anxiety might be more of a mental process that doesn't trigger that much physical response, fear works a little more viscerally. Fear is something your whole body experiences. If your mind believes you're under threat, it immediately starts preparing you to deal with it. Your heart beats faster because your muscles might need more oxygen, and to service that, your breathing speeds up. Blood flow is redirected away from systems that aren't immediately essential, which is why digestion can slow down and people often feel nauseous or lose their appetite. Muscles tighten because your body is preparing to move. The redistribution of blood to the muscles protecting your major organs is why you might experience dizziness and tingling sensations in your extremities. All the things we've referred to as physical symptoms of anxiety start to make sense when we realize our body is just redistributing its resources in the face of danger. But Tim, people often say, I'm not being chased by a tiger, I'm sitting on my sofa. And that's of course why this becomes confusing. But it's important to remember our body isn't responding to what's actually happening. It's responding to what it thinks is happening. It really doesn't matter whether there is actual danger. Your body is responding to perceived danger. If your mind becomes frightened of your own anxious feelings or starts wondering whether the sensations themselves mean something terrible, your body doesn't stop to debate whether that conclusion is accurate. It simply responds to the danger message with the activation of the physical fight or flight response. That's why somebody can experience exactly the same physical sensations walking into an exam, waiting for medical results, standing up to give a speech, or sitting quietly at home worrying about their anxiety. The situations are completely different. The fear response is exactly the same. This also explains something that catches a lot of people out. Even if we accept that the physical responses we've previously framed as a medical issue turn out to be just our mind making a mistake about perceived threat and are actually completely natural and benign, what about the long-term impact to my health of spending weeks or even months in a fight or flight state? Also, people often start experiencing physical sensations when outside of that state, and that of course can be worrying. It can create a whole new thing to be worried or fearful about. But let's break this down in its simplest form. After you've spent weeks or months feeling anxious, your body can begin to feel, well, tired. Not broken, just tired. Imagine clenching your fist for 10 seconds. No problem. Now imagine trying to keep it clenched all day. Eventually your hand starts to ache, your muscles start to cramp, not because you've damaged it, but because you've been asking it to do something it was never designed to do continuously. Your nervous system is no different. If you spent months constantly checking yourself, bracing for danger, and worrying about how you're feeling, it's hardly surprising if you notice fatigue, tension, or the odd physical sensation hanging around. That doesn't mean your body is failing, it means it's been working really hard. The important thing is not to start fearing those sensations as well. They're simply part of a healthy system that spent longer in a state of alert than it was ever intended to. So yes, there is an impact to spending too much time in a state that was only ever designed to be visited for brief periods, but this impact quickly dissipates once we come out of that state and our body starts to recover and return to balance. One of my mentors used to say that the body is great at healing if we just give it the space to do it. That space is what we get when we stop fearing any damage we might be doing to ourselves. Before we go any further, have you checked out the members area of this channel? In there, you'll find hours and hours of extra anxiety and mind coaching content, including my full control system training and the Clear Your Head Anxiety Relief Program. You'll also get full access to exclusive weekly live Q&As. It's just £9 for a full month's access, and you can join by hitting the button on the homepage or clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. People often ask me if they should see a doctor about their perceived physical symptoms, or just assume that this is anxiety. Well, honestly, even though I know anxiety and fear can absolutely be the cause of 100% of your physical issues, I always encourage people to get checked by their doctor if they're genuinely worried about a medical condition. If something doesn't feel right, get a professional medical opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. But once you've been reassured that there isn't a medical explanation, it becomes much easier to accept that this is caused by the only other thing it can be caused by, an emotional response. An anxiety issue is only really flagged up once your doctor has eliminated all other options. We can't run a test for anxiety because anxiety isn't a medical condition, it's an emotional response. So your doctor runs the tests to rule out all possible medical causes of whatever physical sensations you're experiencing, and then concludes this must be caused by anxiety. This is when we can conclude that these sensations aren't evidence that your body is malfunctioning. They're evidence that your body has been trying to protect you. They're very different conclusions. One creates more fear, the other creates understanding. And this is where recovery starts, not by trying to force the sensations away, not by constantly checking whether they're still there, but by understanding why they appeared in the first place and why we don't have to fear them. Once you stop interpreting every sensation as a sign that something is wrong, your body no longer needs to keep sounding the alarm. Over time, as you spend more of your life feeling safe rather than threatened, your nervous system naturally spends more time doing what it was always designed to do: resting, recovering, and ultimately returning to its normal rhythm. If there's one thing I'd like you to take away from this video, it's this. The fact that anxiety feels physical doesn't mean it's a physical illness. It means fear has always been physical. Your body isn't betraying you. It's doing exactly what healthy human bodies have always done when they believe they're under threat. The good news is that once you stop fearing those sensations, you stop giving your body reasons to keep producing them. And that's often the moment everything starts moving in the right direction and we return to our natural default physical state. Calm. If the ideas discussed in this video are resonating with you and you'd like my personal guidance to help you get the other side of anxiety, then follow the link in the comments to book a free, no obligation consultation. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for weekly videos on anxiety and understanding how the mind works. But that's it for this one. I'm Tim Box. Always remember, be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.